We love Tuesdays around here because about this time every week, Ron the Car Guy stops by to teach you something about your vehicle. And this is something a lot of people would call very handy when it comes to keeping your car running the right way.
It is very handy, and it's tire season. And I want to talk a little bit today about on the side of the tire. I mean, the one thing that everybody's familiar with is the size, the 205, 60, 17, or whatever that's on there. And I find that a lot of people, especially with the online resources now, they'll shop for tires and they'll put in the size of their tire, and then they'll look at like the good, better, best. They don't want to buy the cheapest tire, and yet they're not inclined to buy the most expensive one. So they'll kind of pick the middle of the road tire and just roll with it. And that's just would be natural.
I get it. Roll with it. Okay.
And you guys are really good about that.
I worked really hard on that.
At Westside Auto Pros, if you're looking at getting tires, you guys will break it down that way.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But we also, look at your driving habits, how long you're going to keep the car, stuff like that. But one thing that I find is there's some confusion with the numbers other than the size on the vehicle, and people end up with the wrong tire, a tire that's not correct for their car, whether they're looking and buying online, or I've even seen people that have gone into a tire place or a big box store and bought tires. And the next time we see the vehicle, it's got new tires on it, but it doesn't have the correct speed rating, or it doesn't have the correct load rating, which then becomes a safety issue for the vehicle. So we've got a few photos here that we can talk about. First off, this is called a tire placard, and it's on the door of every car out there. And it tells you exactly what tire came on that vehicle. So you want to take a look, the arrow over on the left shows a 235, 55, 18, which is the size, and then it shows a 99V, which is the speed rating and the load index. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Yeah. The arrow on the right, that's the other cool part about this, is it shows the tire pressure that should be in those tires.
I didn't know that.
Because a lot of people look at the side of the tires, and it'll say 35 pounds. They're like, well, this needs to be inflated to 35 pounds. And that's not correct, because at 35 is the maximum pressure for that tire. When they built the tire, they have no idea what car it's going to go on. And so you want to refer to the tire placard that's in there.
Got it.
Good to know.
Here we're going to look, again, we've got the size, the 225, 50, R17. But there's that elusive 98H after that.
Okay, the other one was 99V.
Exactly, exactly. And what that is, that's the speed rating and the load index. So we'll first talk about the 98 that we see here. The 2-digit number indicates how much weight the tire will carry. So the higher the number, the more weight can be put on that tire. You want to make sure that number is at least equal to what came on your car.
Right, makes sense.
So if you're looking at the tire placard and it says 98H, and someone's trying to sell you a tire that is an 89S, it's not right for the car. It's not going to carry enough weight, so it's going to...
Well, technically it wouldn't even be right for this car, because it says 99.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And what's going to happen is that tire is going to wear out quickly, because it's not robust enough to carry the weight, as well as you could run into some safety issues. If the tire's not strong enough, the sidewalls could be a little weaker. You could be prone to a blowout, or the car could sway a little bit.
Now, is it both digits there? Is it both the 9 and the 8 together? So it's 98. That's the one number you're looking at?
That's the one number you're looking at for load index. So you want to make sure that 2-digit number is equal to what was on the car.
Got it.
You could go higher. Let's say the car came with an 86, and you were looking at a tire that was a 92, it's going to carry more weight. Might be a little stiffer ride, because whenever you increase the load capacity of the tire, it's going to get a little bit stiffer. The other one that we want to talk about was the H that was on there, which is the speed rating. And the speed rating, again, has to do with the makeup of the rubber and the design of the tire. So you want to make sure that you get a vehicle that's got the same speed rating. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with how fast you're going to drive the car. Some speed ratings might be good for like 118 miles an hour. Others might be good for 96. And the car might have come with one that was for 118 miles an hour. And you're sitting there thinking, well, my car doesn't even go that fast. I never drive that speed, so I can go with a lower speed rating. Again, we're talking about the construction of the tire, and it can affect the handling of the vehicle. I mean, we have engineers. That probably didn't work for Volkswagen, but we have engineers that are paid lots of money to design and engineer and build these cars to operate with a specific tire on there, and to deviate from that starts changing how the tire handles and the effect of driving it, the safety of it.
Actually, I would argue the engineers at VW are pretty good.
Well,
maybe unethical, but pretty good.
Good point.
Smart.
Good point. Yeah, very good engineers. And then that last picture that popped up there for a second, we've talked about this before on the show, and I find that a lot of people don't know this.
Even
or don't
car
understand.
people don't know this, Ron. I talked to so many racers who had no idea that this existed.
Exactly. Every tire built has a DOT number on it, and that's basically like the social security number for the tire. And it always starts out with DOT, and then it's got a jumble of letters and numbers and stuff in there. And we can tell many things. We can tell the plant that built the tire and all different kinds of things. But the four that we're concerned about are the last four. So in this example, we can see that it's 0712. That's the born on date.
Okay, so let's see if any of this knowledge you imparted on us about a year ago is stuck with us. 07 would mean it was built on the 7th week of the year 2012.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Not July 12th, the 7th week
the
of
seventh
the year.
week
of the
exactly.
year. Okay.
Exactly. So, and I think now we're in week 36, 39, somewhere in there.
Let me check the Farmer's Almanac and they'll tell you.
There we go.
Okay.
Get the reference out.
Okay.
What kind of winter are we going to have? So that tire that we looked at, built the 7th week of 2012, is roughly 3.5 years old.
Right.
And the reason that's important is tires have a life in terms of years, whether or not they've been installed on the vehicle. And the industry, for the most part, says that's about 6 years.
So it's a shelf life.
Exactly, shelf life or on the vehicle life, because rubber, like you look at anything else in your life, windshield wiper blades, stuff that's in the house that's made out of plastic and rubber that sits in the sun. Rubber deteriorates over time. The ozone, the sun load, all that different stuff comes into factor on a tire, and it causes them to deteriorate over time. And then you get out on a long highway trip where the tires getting up to speed and temperature builds up and the pressure increases, and ultimately you can result in a blowout or another catastrophic event. So tires should be replaced every 6 years, and that's why that born on date is important, because you can take a look at it and see how old your tire is. It's also important when you're purchasing tires, right, to make sure that the tires you're buying haven't been sitting on a shelf somewhere for 3 or 4 years, right, and kind of cheats you out of the life of the tire. Sometimes it's inevitable. I mean, this was probably a couple of years ago, we put tires on a Dodge Viper, I remember, and the tires we got were 3 years old. And it was just the best we could do because there isn't a big demand for tires that are this wide.
They make them until they're gone.
Yeah, they make them and they got so many in stock, right, and they just sit on them. So there's a few exceptions to the rule, but generally you want to try to find a tire that's no more than a year old. By the time it's built and shipped to where it needs to go and goes through a distribution center and ends up at a retailer or an end user, I mean, a year or less would be adequate. Sometimes we have tires come in that are only 3 or 4 months old. Other times they might be 10 or 12, and occasionally they'll ship us tires that are 2 or 3 years old, and we refuse them. We send them back and say we'd like a fresh tire. So that born on date is very important, and it's not user friendly. I'll throw that in as well. Okay. That number is typically only on the inside of the tire.
Oh, jeez.
So you're going to see it on the outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's on the outside of the tire, they put your tire on backwards. But
which is another problem.
But it's on the inside of the tire. The outside will have the DOT number, but the last 4 is blank.
Okay.
So the born on date is on the inside of the tire.
Wow.
If you have a DOT, if you have a DOT number on the outside of the tire where it says that 0712, that'll just be smooth. There'll be no numbers there.
So can you ask?
I definitely, when you're purchasing tires, I would ask, hey, what's the DOT?
What's the date?
Yeah, what's the born on date of my tires? They'll know or should know, but like you said, there are people that don't know. But once you ask that question, they should understand where you're coming from. And if you have a question about the tires that are on your car now, I mean, the next time that you're getting the oil changed or the tires rotated, just say, hey, can you grab me the last 4 of the DOT? You know, especially if your car's, you know, maybe you're driving an 8 or a 10-year-old car and you kind of want to know. I remember one time we were doing a trip inspection for a family that was going to Florida, and we were doing our normal trip inspection for them, and it had new tires on the vehicle. The tires were older than the car.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
no.
And we advised him of that. He contacted the place that he bought, and they swapped them out.
Well,
I mean,
good.
they
Sure.
put good tires on
Now,
it. So.
we're coming up next month. A lot of people traveling on the road. You mentioned getting your car checked before you hit the road for the holidays, maybe. Can they still come over to your place and get checked out?
Absolutely, absolutely. And maybe I'll put together a KCWI Great Day special for
Okay,
next
because
week.
it's almost time to switch wiper blades out, too.
It is, and put the Aquapel on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That time of year.
A little bit of frost is
Stretching.
maybe coming in the forecast pretty
Yeah.
soon.
Right, Saturday morning maybe.
All right, any of these or any other questions about vehicles, you can get a hold of Ron the Car Guy. How?
You can go to askronthecarguy.com, or you can go to our website, westsideautopros.com, and contact me through there. I'll answer all questions.
There you go. Wonderful. Good job as always.
Thanks, Ron.